In the afternoon of day 8, we visited the Philae Temple, which, like Abu Simbel, had to be relocated to avoid being submerged in Lake Nasser. We took a short boat ride out to the island where the temple is situated. As we walked through the nearby bazaar to board the boats, the call to prayer echoed across the area. I tried to capture it on video. Our group on the Egypt trip has been divided into two, the red group and the blue group. We're part of the blue group. On the way back from the temple, we saw the red group's boat had broken down and needed to be towed back. It seemed like this was a routine issue, as the crew handled it without any trouble. It was, however, good fun stirring up the red group. After the visit to Philae Temple, we paid a visit to the high Aswan Dam and heard the history of how and why it was built. It's a massive dam and lake, very impressive.
صايع
انا بكسب اكتر منكم. حبيبي معلش ممكن بدل ناس كبيره ممكن حد يقول لك على حاجه. ما دام ما يدوسوا لك على حاجه عشان ناس كبيره هيقع يوصل لك حاجه ولا بتاع. لا تاخد لك كام
I feel that beautiful perfume. I just balanced it up so I'm fine.
woman, the skinny bit.
So, Philae. Philae is the name of the island. Philae is the name of the island. But Philae also is the name of the island, which is not the one where we are now. So this island where we are now is called Angelica. Philae is the name of the original island where this monument used to stand. So this monument have been moved from Philae to Angelica. So before we start to talk about the monument, let's talk about the movement of this. So this temple here, as you see, on top of an island in between the old dam, the 1901 dam, and the 1960 dam, the high dam and the old dam. The high dam is to the south, the old dam is to the north. 1901, the British built the old dam. When the flood used to come, this one here is to the south, behind the old dam. When the flood used to come, this temple used to dive under the water. And you know how high the water used to go? Look at the facade of the temple. Do you see the watermark?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, look at it. Yeah.
This is how high the flood water used to come. So this temple used to dive all the way under the water.
Oh.
So the only top part of these pylons used to rise up out from the water. So this kept happening from 1901 till 1960, when Egypt decided to build the high dam. So the high dam is to the south from this temple. It means that this temple is going to dive for once under the water, and that's it. Because the high dam is going to make the level of the water always that high, or even maybe higher than this. So this is when the Council of Antiquities decided to do this job. After the experience that they got from the big project of rescuing the Nubian monuments in Abu Simbel, the Egyptian Council of Antiquities decided that they are the ones who's going to rescue those monuments of Philae Island. So 1978, 7 years after they finished the high dam. So the high dam from 1960 to 1971. 1978, this is when they started the rescue of the monuments of Philae Island. They came around the original island and they built a round dam surrounding the island. Then they stretch it like a bump line so they can pump the water from the inside out to dry the area, and then they started to clean the silt. So all the black that covers those walls is since those walls used to be covered with silt.
Wow.
So flood after flood, the silt filled this area. So they started to dig the silt out, clean everything, study the temple, mark, cut the temple into 40,000 huge blocks. Then came the time to prepare this island, Angelica. So if you look behind, this is another island. It's all rose granites. So all the islands around us is rose granites. So it wasn't an easy job to prepare the island for the temple, to flatten the surface for the temple, all the rose granites. And the temple comes in 3 different levels and 3 different layers. So it was a big job. It took them 8 years. 8 years to rescue the monuments of Philae Island. Philae Island is about 400 meters that way. The original one, still submerged under the water. And Angelica is a higher ground, so this is why they choose Angelica and removed everything from on top of Philae to Angelica, where we are now to rescue those monuments. So this is the rescue of the monuments of Philae Island. So Philae Island, the name. The name was given to the island by the Romans. What does Philae means? The beloved. Philae means the beloved. What is the ancient name of the island? Is Bilach. Bilach. Bilach means the end. The end. So why the ancient Egyptians called it the end? Starting from Aswan all the way down almost to Sudan, this is where used to be the cataracts. The cataracts is because of the granites in the water, like rapids, waterfalls, small waterfalls, lots of granites everywhere, like shallow water, strong current. So it was impossible for anyone to sail through this area. You're gonna wreck your ship. So this is why they call it the end, Bilach, because this is as far as you can sail through the Nile. Then you have to travel through the land until you cross the 4 cataracts, and then you can jump back to the Nile. And this is one of the things that help all to protect the southern borders of Egypt, because it was impossible for anyone to sail into Egypt through those cataracts. So this is where the name came from, Bilach, or the monument that we are looking at is one of the monuments built during the Greco-Roman era. So again, the beginning of the construction dates back to the year 232 BC. At the ruins of an older temple. So there was an older temple here, unfinished, by one of the last pharaohs that ruled Egypt, King Nectanebo II, and this is why we call this part, this entrance here, the gate of Nectanebo II. Then looking at the facade, we can see the propaganda, as usual. You can see the king killing his enemies to the front of the main goddess of this temple, and the king giving the offerings to the triad of the temple. So, who is the triad of this temple? Isis as the main goddess, Osiris as the husband, Horus as the child. So this is where the conflict started. So this is where Osiris lost his life, and the conflict, and Horus lost his first battle. It was around this area when his father was the king. You remember the conflict between Osiris and Set, the 2 brothers, and how he lost his life and his son lost the crown and his eye. This is where this started, the beginning of the conflict between the 2 brothers that moved passed on to the son who lost his life, his father and his crown. So the story of the conflict started from here. This temple is one of the temples that have been used during Christianity as a church. So when we start to walk in to the right and to the left from the gate, the main entrance, you're going to see the crosses carved to the right and to the left. When we go inside to the colonnade hall of this temple, you're going to see at the colonnade hall that they transformed the colonnade hall into a church. We're going to see the altar of the church, the niche where they kept the Bible. We're going to see the influence of the ancient Egyptian architecture to the Christian architecture, where they took the basilica design from, as we're going to see the 2 rows of pillars that leads to the altar and the wall that carries the altar. And you see the Coptic language also up there.
Going for the road.
And up here we can see the hinge of where the doors of this temple used to fit, plus the slide lock. So a big wooden slide lock that goes here to secure the door. And we have a graffiti here. You see this one? Can anyone read French? No? So I can lie.
You can say whatever.
No, I don't understand. Sorry, what did you So, I cannot read French too, but
Vision.
this is, you can see the command, the vision, and things like that. This is a war expedition. The French general Napoleon Bonaparte, when the French came, the ones who were in control in Egypt was the Mamluks. The Mamluks used to be the soldiers of the Arabs. By the end of the time of the Arabs, the Mamluks have become much more powerful and they ruled Egypt. But they weren't still well organized to defend Egypt against the French. So when the French came, they lost one battle in Alexandria, they lost the fortress in Alexandria, they fled to Cairo, they lost the one in Cairo, and this is when they lost Egypt to the French. And they started to run all over Egypt, hiding from the French. So this was a war expedition that was organized, starting from the heat of the top, all the way down here, hunting and killing the Mamluks. And here you can see pyramids, you can see Mamluks. Because as I said, my French is as good as your Arabic. So I guess somebody could put on this Google Translate. Yes, there we go. Vanessa might be able to do it. Google Translate. This room behind me here that we call the Mamizi room. This room carries the story of Horus, the child, since the beginning. Since he lost his eye and he lost his battle all the way up to the victory. So here we can see, for example, we can see this. You see those ladies here, and they are holding like drums. You see them holding drums, and they are celebrating the victory of Horus against his uncle Set. So this room carries the whole story from the beginning of the conflict, when Horus lost his eye, lost his father, lost his crown, all the way to his victory. Plus, you can see at the capitals the Hathor faces, as those shrines is to be considered like the shrine of Hathor, where Horus was raised up as a child under the protection of Hathor. So the Romans, they built this room here at the open court so it can be visitable by the public. So the public can see the story and understand that they are taking the side of Horus against Set, taking the side of good, defending good against bad. So this is the story that the walls of this room carries. Then, if you look over there, you see the rose granite. This is the original monument of this island, of Angelica Island. So Angelica used to be one of the rose granite quarries for the New Kingdom. As you can see, it's in the middle of the water. So they used to extract lots of granites from here. When this temple was moved from Philae to Angelica, they figured out that because this was a small shrine that was carved by the workers of the quarry, to worship Osiris. So this is the original monument of the island. So they kept it. They preserved the original monument, and they just took off this part of the second pylon, kept at the museum, and they fit the second pylon on top. So this is the original monument of the island. As the workers inside those quarries, they used to make like small shrines for their own favorite gods, so they could, during the working days, they can give the offerings and tell the prayer for the favorite gods. So this is the one by the workers of this island when it used to be a quarry before they brought the temple here. So this is the original monument of this one. This is the colonnade hall of Philae Temple. And as you can see, when you see the crosses here, at the side.
Oh, yes.
And then you're going to see that the lower part is partly, it's not completely chiseled out. Right? Then if you walk a little bit to the center, then you see the altar of the church. Here you see the granite altar, rose granite. And the niche where they kept the Bible. So this was the wall that used to carry the icons of the church. Those are the two rows of pillars that carry the ceilings of the church. When it was a church, the door that we came from was completely sealed. There's a back door there was the main entrance, and the front door here was the exit to the surface area. So this is exactly what the Angelica is. Two rows of pillars that carry the ceilings leads to the altar and the wall that carries the icons. So this is the influence from the ancient Egyptian architecture to the Christian architecture. 500 AD, when Maximin, the Roman emperor, decided to close all of the ancient temples and not to use them again and to start to build churches outside. He took the main designs and he started to construct outside. The only difference is here that these are flat surface roofs. You see this graffiti up here?
Yes, yeah.
You see the location of the temple? Longitude, latitude in degrees?
Yeah.
If you use this in your navigation system, you never know where it's gonna take you. Because this is when France used to believe that the center of Earth goes through Paris, not through UK. So if you put this in your navigation system, you might end up in Mars or something like that. So this is the location of the temple, depending on the old system that we use, the French use, believing that center of Earth, Greenwich line, goes through Paris, not through you. So here, just outside the shrines of the triad of the temple, first we can see this is the crown of North. Here, crown of South. So Upper Egypt, Lower Egypt. Upper Egypt is the South, Lower Egypt is the North. Double crown. See the double crown? So if you just take this off his head and fit inside here, it gives you exactly what you see here, the double crown. Right? And here we can see Beta, one of the gods of creation, Hathor, Horus the child. Again, how we can tell that he is a child? Sucking his thumb. Yes. So you were listening at the museum. So he's sucking his thumb, plus the hair braid to the side tells about childhood. So this is also Horus the child. Gift of life as a gift, wishing the king eternal life, offerings to have the disease and the peace. The eye of Horus, when he lost his left eye, he started to make an eye out of gold and give to Horus as an offering in return of the one that he lost. And then we see Isis while she is breastfeeding Horus the child. Come over here, see Isis while she is breastfeeding Horus the child. When the temple was used during Christianity and the church, they started to look at this as Saint Mary and Jesus the child. So this is where the erosion came from people coming in numbers here, spending time worshiping this. If you follow me this way, please, you can see here Mac, or Isis using the wings of Mac, asking Rita to bring justice to the husband that was killed by his brother. And up here we can see him, Osiris, when he had become the king of the underworld, and you can see her behind waiting for life for the husband, because now he's not reaching for the afterlife. He is going to be the king of the underworld. He's going to win. If you look over there in the water, do you see those marks coming out from the water?
Yeah.
This is where Philae Island is. And this is the remains of the dam that they built surrounding the island. So the whole island, as you can see, still submerged under the water. Then we have this small temple here for Hathor, the goddess of love and music. And this big chapel over there, which is unfinished, this was built by Troy. This was built by Troy so he can give the offerings in private to the goddess Isis, and you can see it's unfinished from the outside. From the inside there's only two scenes carved at the walls of it, of Troy giving the offerings to Isis, and then Troy giving the offerings to the triad of this temple, Isis, Osiris, and buy any hat, some small box of hair, some different goddesses, prices between 100 and 200, depending on what you choose. So if you like something you like, go ahead. your hand, watch your hand, watch your hand. Angels! Angels, you need to push your boat.
Where's the
Boat needs to
paddle?
push. We gotta win the prize. Where you getting the other one? Where you getting? I'll get two for this one. No other one? No.
Marka na lagi dito. Ini wala dyan. Niya 65.